Welcome back, everybody, to UKCSGO, and yet again, they've done it again. Alaska, this is your third UKIC title in a row, alongside many other accolades, and yet again, another close one as well. I'm with arTisT, the IGL. Firstly, how are you feeling after the win?
I feel kind of bad. I feel, there's a story that people might not be aware of, that like Whiffen has always wanted to beat me in the final, and every single time he comes so close, but every single time I just edge it out. So I speaking to him afterwards, I kind of felt a bit bad. But it is most likely our last run, so I'm glad it's ending with a win.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, we shaped it out anyways to be like a last dance. Was that how it felt in the team as well?
Very much so, yeah. For the last few weeks, we haven't been around each other as much, and coming into the game, we're picking strats that, like, I think that one worked a few weeks ago. Let's try that one. So it definitely felt very much a last dance to us. But then at the same time, with a lot of the other finals, there's a lot of pressure on us to actually win it, because maybe it's for Verdant or for one of the other orgs. So yeah, there is pressure before, not so much pressure now, but we just kind of wanted to win it for ourselves as well. They kind of end on a win.
Yeah, well, talk me through the game as well, because, like, okay, it was a close game. Like, you lost map one. Well, you always give someone first map, though, as you said. And you guys still stayed really confident, and it all came down to, what was it, a 8 round win streak at the end on Anubis. Firstly, like, did you expect this game to be that close?
Yeah, we kind of did, to be honest. Yeah. I think that's one thing we've learned. Like, it's it's the same with any domestic competition. Like, it doesn't matter what the level is. You look at the German scene, even there, like, after I think Big lost to Arrow.
Yeah, in December. Yeah.
So I think any domestic competition, it's always close. So we were expecting it to be quite competitive. To be that competitive, like, I almost feel like we should have lost. I'll not try and sugarcoat it. We should have probably lost, but we seem to just got through it. We stayed together. We stayed composed. So that's it. Like, we somehow kind of came out on top. Don't know.
Seems to be a common theme of you guys. You're always like, yeah, we just kind of won, but I don't know how.
Yeah, last time with EPIC.LAN, it was definitely Mattis. I think this time that 1v2 I won probably really changed things for us, and like the momentum within us. But it was a very competitive game. We didn't expect them to play, like, the maps. I think the video was a bit crazy.
Changed it. They've changed it every single time. Yeah. They've changed it, not you.
Yeah, that was we weren't expecting those maps at all. And like Anubis as a third, Anubis has been too good for us as well, and we haven't done any practice going on to the event, so it was a bit worrying, especially when it was 11-5.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah, but we were all right.
I hear you went into a flow state, and because I was lucky, I'm lucky enough to kind of like be there in the room. I feel like a coach. I was standing in the middle, being like, this feels kind of weird, just like in the middle of everyone. But everyone, like, I heard many times people go, Tom, what do we do? Like, at the start of the round, like, it wasn't people waiting for your call. It was like people like were actively being like, what's Tom going to say? For me, it felt like you went into a bit of a flow state. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, anyone who's ever teamed with us knows how vocal I am, and I am quite micromanaged type of, compared to maybe like a Docs type of style.
Okay.
Where it's like he kind of lets his players to see what they can get, and he's explained the default maybe before the server or before we actually play the official. For me, like, I knew kind of how they played, and I've played against these players a lot, and I've even done server time with them, offline with them. I know how Whiffen likes to see the map. And you kind of put that with just hitting a few lucky shots, winning a few touches. But it's nice for me as well. Like, that the boys, rely on me to say, what do we do here? What do we do next? That's like, for me, it's a bit of a confidence. Like, they trust me, so
yeah, got
to get the job done.
I mean, you are the most accoladed IGL in UKCS, so I kind of would hope, not to glaze you too much, but like, I would hope that if they're going to trust someone, if
they don't trust me, it's a bit worse.
Yeah, if they don't trust you, who are they going to trust? Like, yeah, it's like needed Apex or Carrigan, or bust. But like, we've kind of spoken about the finals. I want this to be, and we've spoken about it, I want this to be more of like a kind of a broader picture, because as mentioned, this is the last dance. There's a chance that you guys stay together, and we spoke about that, but I just want to first focus on the fact that you guys have won every single event, LAN, in kind of the last like 10 months, I think, or so. How does it feel to just have this like era of invincibility, but then everyone's out to get you?
There is pressure on us for sure, and it's risky us always playing every single LAN. You know, we always like, you know, coming into that last EPIC.LAN, like we funded that ourselves. We like, you know, we didn't have an org backing. We just was like, right, we have to win it because we have to make our money back. So that was a risk by us, like. And then that adds a lot of pressure to us. I think, so I don't think we've lost an event since 2023 LAN-wise. I think we've lost online finals, but they won every LAN since 2023. I think it's quite good. I don't know if any other UK team has had a long streak than that. I'm not sure.
It's always been contested.
Yeah, it's always been contested. And we have been contested by other teams. They've got close.
They certainly have.
They definitely have. But that feels rewarding. But, you know, everyone is getting that much closer. Like, you know, these last two finals, I really think Hitson should have won both. To be honest, we just, it's just the composure, you know. I mean, it's just that, like, we have the experience. We've been playing together for so much time, and it really does help. I know everyone says it's such a cliche thing, like, oh, it's just experience. It does help. It really does. Like, I mean, you were in the room. We are quite.
Oh, you were locked the fuck in.
Yeah. And I think that's the way you have to be when you're in those moments where you have to, you know, catch up to 11-5. It's hard, like. And, you know, I think at EPIC.LAN as well, I think that game kind of slipped out of their hands, but then Mattis was like, okay, I have to win the game for the boys, and it's just that experience. It just kind of clicks in, and it's hard to kind of put into words like what really it is. It's just like we've lost so many finals before this, you know, 21, 22, and we learned from all those finals and all the EPS finals that we lost, and, you know, we just kind of brought into this year. And then I think as well as, like, our eyes are more set for European competition. So I guess when we go into UK competition, it's like, right, we're always going to win Nuke versus everyone. So, like, you know, we're always going to have that map. So
it's always going to a third.
It's always going to a third, no matter what. Yeah.
Because you touched upon it there, and it's something that you've actually mentioned to me this weekend already. You were like, people seem to forget how long we've been around and how we've never won a premiership. We lost for like 4 years. How does it feel to have gone from you guys grinded, had your ups and downs, to then the period you've just had? What's that kind of progression been like, and how does it feel sitting at the end of it?
It's weird. Like, I would say there has been like higher highs. There's definitely been very low lows. But, like, you know, qualifying to the RMR, you know, the events in Malta and Austria, you know, like, these are the events that are always going to stick with us for the rest of our lives, because they're life experience. You know, it's just like going to a different country to play a video games.
Bonkers.
You know, just nuts, complete nuts. But, like, coming into the end of it now, it's nice that we've won. Like, you know, that's one thing we can say. We did dominate the UK scene. To be honest, like, when I started playing Counter-Strike, I kind of had two goals for myself. It was like, I want to be in the best UK team, and then I want to be the best player in Ireland. Now, my only competition was Connor, who didn't really give a fuck to be honest, or try. So I'd done that one quite fast. And then with the UK team, I was like, I guess I have to build it. And then I think it originally started with me and Seth, you know, way back in like UMX, even just before that. It took a long time to get here, like, but at least we did it. Do you mean? And like, it's like a lot of players they tend to like quit, you know, before they actually hit the goals.
Yeah.
And, like, to be honest, like, I knew I don't have it in me to be a tier 1 player. Like, you know, I know I don't have that. But I did have certain goals that I wanted to hit. We got to see a good bit of Europe, got to do boot camps, got to play against, like, the best players in the world. You know, we've had a good experience. We've had a good time. And then domestically in the UK, we became the best team in the UK. It's took a while, but it has happened, and you can be happy about that. Yeah.
How does it feel to sit here and be like, oh yeah, like, I achieved my goals, my life goals, or not life goals, but short-term life goals. Like, that's a pretty serious thing to be able to say that you've done. I don't think many people can ever really say that. So how does it feel to almost like take a step back and be like, shit, I completed one of my life goals, and it's a big deal? Yeah, it's definitely hard within the UK, you know, because I feel like, especially for me, it's like, especially for anyone in the UK, like, the cost of living is so incredibly high that, like, how long can you actually dedicate the time and effort into it while you're getting older, while everything's increasing with inflation? So, like, you know, it's kind of hard to do all that. You know, I'm glad, like, you know, but, you know, me, Callum and Mattis have stuck through this, you know, 120 hours every single 2 weeks, constant ups, constant downs. You know, it's been hard going.
But to finally, like, you know, we did have like good moments, good memories. So like we're always going to carry through with us, you know. And like I definitely think that like there's definitely a versatility of skills that you can get from just playing games. You know, communication skills, you can, you know, even teamwork and bonding and all that. There's stuff that's so important for like just life. But like it's just like for other players coming up, they have to know that it's sacrifice, and it's like it is a lot of it. It's a lot of grinding. It's a lot of time. It is rewarding if you can somehow squeeze through the gaps, but like, yeah, it's hard. It just is hard.
Yeah, and because you mentioned obviously Mattis and Callum, Extinct and Girafffe. I don't think people seem to consciously realize that, like, yeah, you guys have played together for 6 years in a team, and then even longer outside of Team CS, like mixing inters or whatever. How did you play with someone for that long?
I don't know.
And biscu to throw that in there as well.
Well, yeah, the original team really, it kind of filtered from me and Ciaran. Me and biscu, from an Irish team. 2 weeks before he was about to quit the game, you know, we go to like a AWPing.LAN. Me and Ciaran, you know, definitely spark. And then from that, you know, we finally get Mattis, and then we finally get Callum. We get the pieces together. Ciaran realizes, you know, maybe I should coach. So you know that it all kind of it took a while, but it all kind of collided together to get the right pieces. You know, it did take a while, and like, you know, to play with the same players for so much, and especially like the ups and the downs, it's been challenging. Like, but like we do it because we enjoy it so much. But it's been hard, especially with Mattis.
But then, so like it's like hard but also glorious at the same time. What's it now to kind of be saying goodbye to them potentially, or like this core for certainty?
It's weird. It doesn't feel like it's like, especially Callum, I think, because like for me, like it feels like I'm Callum's older brother. To be honest, like it just feels like I've always like watched out for him and made sure that, like, you know, just everything was like covered. I don't know, it was just like such a weird relationship. So to see that like that's kind of ending's just a weird kind of relationship. With Mattis living in Dublin, I'm sure, you know, we'll meet up from time to time. But for Callum, he could just fade into the abyss, and I would never know. He's just that type of guy. But like, you have to look back and just be happy with it all, for sure. Like it's what an incredible experience.
What was the highest moment? Would it be RMR, or would it be something else?
I think the RMR, like qualifying for the RMR, I think was crazy. Yeah, you know, I think that was like an experience that, like,
what does crazy mean in this context?
Like, it was so unlikely. Like the like the story, like people don't know what was going on within the team, before the team, what was like going around the team. Like, people don't really understand how crazy that run really was.
Spark notes we could get?
I mean, well, with James and Bevy, you know, with that whole thing, because James was still on the team while we were trying to qualify for, like, you know, we weren't even expected to play the qualifier for the RMR. We signed up 25 minutes before. We got Rory last second, who was like not at work that day, so we had time to play the qualifier, you know, and then we had to get him to get like his boss to give him days off to continue to play Saul. You know, like it's just like
it wasn't real.
No, it wasn't real at all, and I was like, how are we doing this? And then like with Gizmy, like he went like mad into preparation for every single game, and then before the qualifier, I told him, just play, you know, just focus on just shooting and just, you know, get your read within the server, and that's what he did, and he just did a fantastic job. You know, everyone just clicked. I literally have no idea, you know, to this day how it happened, because it was just full hype. Like, you know, it was just. There's no words to really explain it. It was just full nuts. Like, the chances of us qualifying for it was so unlikely. But it was just a magic. We just had a little bit of magic. We somehow did it. Like, I think it was that. Like, I think when we qualified for the RMR, like that's the highest moment. The RMR itself, seeing the players was like kind of like, it was like seeing celebrities. You know, it was like, we see these guys on Twitch all the time.
Even though you're their competitor.
Yeah, but didn't feel like it. Okay. So, I mean, we definitely felt like underdogs, you know, and like we approached, 100%. But like the RMR itself, although it was nice to be there, like, you know, we kind of knew we weren't really going to qualify. But like getting there itself was the big achievement. But I think overall, I really liked Austria, that LAN we played. I think Austria was definitely, like, for me, that like it was a beautiful country, beautiful city. like just hilarious people. I think that whole event entirely was just, I think for me, was the number one, like most enjoyable memory from this whole experience.
I guess now, what's happening with you and just everything? Because like we've obviously had this like conversation about your history and today and like everything coming together. What's like, where's your head at right now?
I think for me, well, for the last few months, we've been looking for financial backing, you know, and like, it's not, we weren't even really asking for a crazy amount of money, to be honest. We weren't asking like, you know, thousands of pounds. We really weren't. We were asking hundreds of pounds. Like we were really going to take a dip. But like I think we were the highest VRS team in Europe or even the world that was unorged. And we were asking for like hundreds.
Yeah.
Like we weren't asking for like, you know, crazy expectations.
It's not even livable though. Like living wages, like more than £1,000 a month, right?
Oh, we were asking way under that. Like seriously, like, cause like we see it different that like, you know, to continue this life, you know, it's sacrifice.
Yeah. So you're kind of continuing that mentality.
Yeah. And like you kind of have to hit like, you know, another RMR and try and, you know, have a crazy run in a IEM type of tournament or an open qualifier. Like AWPing, you know, those types.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You kind of have to get that to kind of earn the salary. So we weren't really asking that much. Our expectations weren't quite high. But we just couldn't find really anyone, to be honest. It was kind of hard. I think at the minute we're kind of at a dry spell for esports.
Yeah.
I think we see that within even the UK scene. There's not many orgs that are supporting even like the local kind of domestic scene to send some teams to LAN. I think we've got TLR and Aidsons. But like before, like, you know, in 2020, you know, just maybe in COVID or pre-COVID or before COVID or after COVID, there was like 9, 10, 11. Like just sending even mixes, just to, you know, we'll fund you guys, just represent us. Here's a jersey, you know. Then they would come to EPIC.LAN and have a big like banner, and you know, it was just crazy. Like, but those orgs have kind of all died out now. So I think we're at a bit of a dry spell with the financial backing within the UK, maybe even across Europe. But it could be like it's a dip, and then, you know, within the next few months, the next few years, it'll just rocket again, and then football clubs might even get invested and
possibly.
Who knows what the future holds like, but it definitely will go back up again. But right now, it's just, I think it was a bad moment for us to kind of look for that backing.
And I'm guessing, like it's just type of the thing where like you can't wait for it to come back up, because it's not also just 4 months, right? It's also like you guys have done this before. This is not the first time you guys have gone on org, so it's just kind of the same. Like it's just being a bit too much where you just run out of money.
Yeah. I think before even, you know, when we were Fanbit, I think we were Fanbit the longest.
Oh, and the free.
And the free. That's criteria, yeah. I think like we were still getting org offers in those moments, like when we were Fanbit and we had like Vault. But you know, it was org funding, or maybe it was a small salary, or it was something like that. Like right now we're getting nothing. You know, we're not even getting like, you know, even to just go to that last EPIC.LAN, I reached out to a few organizations. Here, send us the EPIC.LAN. What you can do is you can have the prize pool. Just fund us to go, and you can have the entire prize pool. So like, you know, you'll be getting your money back. You can, you know, expose your brand. Yeah. All out there, and just couldn't get anything.
From like UK orgs,
nothing.
EU orgs.
Nothing. So like at the minute, it's like really, really low. And now like we are the best team in the UK.
I think you've proved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like we just couldn't get anything. So we had to fund ourselves to go to EPIC.LAN and, you know, just back ourselves to win it. To like literally cover the cost of us going.
It's like a whole different level of pressure for that event.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wait, I'm playing to eat.
Yeah. So, but no, like we were going like actively to organizations and saying, here, this is the deal we're going to give you. You can get your money back. You can get your brand exposed. You know, you can get exposure for the org. But like we just couldn't get anything.
That's just crazy to hear. Like, just as a financial decision, it makes sense, no? Like you guys are cheap to send, and then they make the money back, and then boom, exposure.
Yeah. I mean, you will make the money back. We did win the event.
Yeah. And so, okay, well that's, and then,
I don't know. You know, like I'm quite realistic, and I always, like, you know, with all the previous org owners that I have, I'm sure they all like will say, you know, I'm quite fair. And like, you know, I always try, like I see it from their sides as well. You know, they're not like printing money. So I try and do like the best way possible of like, you know, how can we both meet in the middle? What's the best way for us forward? But I just couldn't find anyone really to kind of send us there, or kind of just give us even a small backing.
Well, joke's on them, because you won the event.
Trophy is ours.
Yeah, karma comes back. So yeah, like that's kind of what's happened then to to cause what I think everyone's kind of seen, like the LFT posts, and I think naturally some people are just quite confused. And I think we've spoken about people going their separate ways, but for you, is it continuing CS? Is it rebuilding, or is it maybe like moving in a different direction of life?
I think we'll see. Maybe something might come from this UKIC. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll give that a few weeks to see. I know there is a few organisations that have spoke to me in the last few days. I think, I'll say it now that like Callum has definitely left the team.
Yeah.
Jamie has definitely left the team. Ciaran has definitely left the team. So we'll never see those guys back.
Yeah.
So going forward, it would only be me, Mason, and Mattis as the core. So we'll see what happens within the next few weeks, and see if maybe an org does reach out and they want to get the best UK domestic team. But other than that, if we don't maybe get that back in, I think maybe it might be. Like I said, I have hit my goals. I'm quite like, if I did quit, I would be happy with like what I've done. And I feel like that's like 99% of people can't say that when they finish CS. I feel like, they have to
0.99999.
100%. Yeah, they can't. They want to win a major. Adam JC, for example, wants to win a major, but he never won an Irish LAN. So, yeah,
got to put things into perspective.
Yeah. So, but we'll see what happens within the next few weeks. But it's not full 100% decision yet. It's close to it, but we'll see.
As in a decision to hang up the mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
Shit, man, we'll be losing a piece of UK royalty. Go down it, but you could also
Irish.
end on a high. Singing more respect of UKCSGO, going on that one. But hey, at least you end on a high.
Yeah.
And I did have another question, but it was the whole like you matching your goals, because there was I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a very weird spout of just Twitter people. And JL came out and he was like, well, my goal was to win a major and I won it. And then I was I think he was saying like I lost motivation because I'd hit my goal. Like that was my main goal in life. I know obviously major being the best team in the UK, a little bit different,
of course.
But is there also a similarity in the mentality there of being like, well, I hit my goals. It's harder to push myself because I've achieved it.
Yeah. Well, like, see, for us to hit, like, me and Callum had a really good discussion about this a few weeks ago of like how, what is our next goal? Our next goal is to kind of hit that top 50 HLTV and start pushing up, But the only way we can do that is if we continue to play full time. Yeah. And the only way we can do that is if we get an org that's going to back us for a long amount of time. Do you mean, let's say give us 6 months to a year, And like, unless we can do that, then like, we're not going to get a roster that's going to grind that what we have been doing for, that length of time to get into that like spot. I honestly don't think you can get to like a top 50 team playing part-time unless you were a tier 1 player that has came back, like kind of like a Smooya. Yeah. Where like he is good enough to play tier 1 100%. He's probably like, and for me, he's the top 5 hopper in the world, and he always will be. Like, he really is that good.
That's the title.
100%. But like, unless you're that and you're a tier 1 player and you came back and you're going back up, I think you can do that. But I think, for players like us, we kind of need that like financial backing. We need some time. You need the right roster. You need the flexibility within the roster. And that's maybe a problem that like me and Ciaran often faced, was like, should we remove this player? Do we want to go to the org and talk about removing this player? But it kind of looks that really unstable now, and we don't want to do this. And like, because I think for me and Ciaran, if Ciaran was here, like he would say, is like, our fifths, we've not made the right decision, or we haven't pushed hard enough, or we might have seen something and we didn't make a change fast enough. And that's definitely should load us down, and we shouldn't have done that. We should have been like, okay, we've seen this. This is a red flag. We can kind of push the roster harder, make it like much more improved if we just make the change. But for us, like, it was just like, we don't want to show instability as well from the roster, because it can damage the org as well. So there's a lot going on within the team that like people would know. They'd always, I think although we are the top team in the UK, people love to hate watch us. Rory hates us. We are sorry, Rory. Like
I was here watching you today. I was like, don't do it to another team.
We are sorry to everyone.
Suffering from success for real.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I don't know. mean, it's a strange path. You know, it's not just so straightforward. You know, it's not. You have to always find the right players. You have to find,
Yeah.
you know, the right commitment. You have to just have the right work ethic. You have to everyone just gels so much. You know, it's hard. Like I've dealt with it now for the last, like, since COVID. Like I think 5 years. It's been such a weird experience. Like
We spend every day virtually with like the same 5 people.
Yeah, and it's like, for me, like, I mean, if anyone knows, like, or has been on the team, they know, like, I work a lot. Like, I'm crazy. I have like 200 hours. Like, I'm just constantly doing new documents and strat books and anti-strats and this and fix that.
Oh, I've seen your strat book.
You know, it's just constant.
Crazy stuff.
It's just constant. Like, you know, I always like praise, like, the way we do things is, like, it's very hard to anti-strat because every new week it's a new strat. It's a new book where it's new positions, and it's like, and then I'd say it's, you know, it's probably some criticism of myself, and I'm sure people within the team would always say that, like, oh, Tom moves everyone's around, position changes every single week. And so for me, it was always solution. You know, it was like, well, what if I can maybe move this player? Can I maybe get, you know, 10% more? Can he, like, I mean, even we use the example of Volt. When Volt joined us from Vexed, I think he was a lurker and an anchor, and then by the time he left the team, he was a star player on both sides. You know, like, we went through every role of him. We changed so many positions with him. You know, like, we ultimately changed him as a player. And like, that's what I trying to do with Callum was the exact same. Callum joined the team as an entry fragger. You know, he's a lurker and an anchor. Mattis, I don't know what Mattis is. Mattis is Mattis. Just leave that.
A rare breed of people.
He walks through the smokes. That's his job.
People think you're the crazy one. Mattis, is like a wall of smoke.
I think I got
Mattis.
I think I still have that, like, in Europe, that I'm a crazy player, but, like, I think it all came from the UMX days where, like, I just was playing like art and I was running around and nothing made sense.
Yeah.
And it was just like, so I think I've got that reputation from them days. Right now I'm just like pretty
A lot more reserved.
A lot more reserved. Yeah, I kind of op, and like CS2 op, and I haven't really clicked with it the way I would have liked. Yeah. So
well, you haven't even been AWPing necessarily for the whole time either.
No, last year I didn't op at all. Yeah. So like I'm way behind as well. So yeah, I'm trying to catch up on that, and there's a lot going on. You know, and even that there, it was probably a bad decision by myself as well. So
to move off
the op, yeah. I mean, we qualified for the RMR when I was op. So I was like, and then why am I going off the op? Although Remy was a brilliant player.
He provided more firepower, but if I'm fair in correcting it, it created instability through like the roles with you, and then which happened since like it was like Mattis left, and then there was like a whole thing last year where your roles were all screwed.
Yeah,
and it was also because of like Mattis and Ducky. Ducky played the right roles, right?
Yep.
And then Mattis came back in, and then the roles just never really worked. But then also with Remy, like it was clear. I think people saw it. There was a bit of discontent between the team. It didn't really work between the humans.
Yeah.
But like outside of that factor, with you leaving the AWPing going rifle, like I think people also just glaze over that fact. But for you think that was like a bad idea when you reflect on that.
Definitely. I mean, I don't think we had very great results under Verdant, if I'm being honest. You know, I think we finished third place in like United 21, and I think we got advanced playoffs twice. We did win, you know, the EPIC.LANs and the UKCs, but like it didn't really mean too much.
There was one that European Pro League on Christmas Eve.
Oh yeah, that was the first event I opt. So as soon as I stopped opping, we won EPL.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So like, you know, there's, you know,
yeah, you were like,
why did I do that? So
yeah,
like there's definitely problems that like, and you know, I'd always be the first person to like reach up my hand and say, you know, I've made a mistake. I've said this. I've done this. Because like, although like I'm all about solutions, you know, and I'm not like, I never blame it. Like I blame myself more than I would blame anyone else. You know, I'm always like looking at myself and I was like, okay, I should have done that. I should have done this. I should have done that. You know, but like,
and choosing to stay on the AWP was one of those decisions where you were like, should have just stayed.
Should have just stayed, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially because CS2 like was coming out as well, and they were making constant changes to like the networking, and like 1 month it felt good, the next it felt awful.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of it's kind of got a bit better. It's kind of stayed around the same now.
Yeah.
But you can see it at a tier 1 level, like Monesi, Mizaiwu, you know, everyone, Ashiro, and then everyone else just kind of falls off a cliff. Like, so up and down.
And maps as well. Like, I feel like Ancient is just such an anti-AWP map for
Yeah, the map was.
you can get like a pick or two on Ancient, but I know a lot of AWPers, and if you look at stats as well, like the highest rated AWPer on Ancient is like 30th rated in the map, like that, you know, etc.
Talks for itself. Like,
Yeah.
I think like, you know, for me, I'm gonna. This is gonna come out, and I'm gonna look like the biggest Smooya fanboy. Like, but I watch Smooya's demos like all the time, and like he doesn't even op anymore. So I'm like, you know, Owen, give me some more tricks, give me some more tips. Like, he's not opping, he's just rifling, he's just baiting with a rifle. Like, so like, you know, even like he's a great opper, and it's like he's not even opping as much anymore. So it's like, you know, something's going on with the gun. But like I know, if I quit or if I drop the op again and go back in the rifle, there'll be a new update, and the op's back, like, and I'll be like, oh. So
yeah. Because it's interesting talking about Remy, because if I'm not mistaken, I think you may have picked up another European player along the way from like Rudd, if you played with Rudd, but Remy is the only player in recent history that you picked up that was international, and you yourself have never really played international CS, or at least in the last 5 years you definitely haven't. How do you reflect on that? Of like, do you think you should have gone more international, or are you happy with the fact that you stayed very domestic with also like the fifths and the team core?
So for the fifths, it was more usually to do with the org, or maybe we just couldn't fund the player's salary.
Yeah.
You know, because they do ask for, you know, upwards of 1,000 or, you know, even 2,000.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get like the good players in your team. So like pretty much why we kind of stuck with the UK players is just like, you know, we'll just train those guys to get good enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that's definitely been like a financial issue we've had to get, like, that's why we've probably stayed away or like couldn't get those like European talents. But within the core between me, Mattis, Callum, you know, I'm glad we kind of stayed together. I would say like if you go across like Europe and like look at like the core, you know, I don't know of another core that stayed. I mean, I'm sure there is so many, but like, you know, for me, like we've stayed together for like 6 years. 6 years together, there's a core, is crazy.
There's always a player who's been around for a while, but never a core.
Never a core. No.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have like, you know, Max and Surreal. You know, they would have played together for a long, long time.
You're about the same anyways.
Yeah, but like, you know, but like for us three, I think that's very rare. Because most of the time you just want to rip each other's hair out. And I mean, even really, you add Ciaran into that, that's 4.
That's a lot.
That's a long time.
That's insane. Like that's... I think that's something that doesn't get as much appreciation, maybe. And you know, we've already spoken about it, yeah. But I want to finally end, because I think this is something that's definitely applied to the state you guys in, is the VRS system and just how Counter-Strike is right now, because you are literally the product of an open circuit, the RMR qualifier, starting up 25 minutes beforehand. I think it's been very evident that you guys have had woes with the with the VRS system. Where's your mind at?
I think there's a lot of way to go with the VRS system. Like at least Valve is getting involved with it, you know, and like, you know, they are saying like they want TOs to have open circuits, and they want, you know, nothing franchise like League or, you know, anything like Riot. Which is good for sure. It's just there's a long way to go. There's not enough, like, you know, like tier 2 like organizers doing open qualifiers. So that's kind of, you know, slowing everything down, and, you know, new teams coming along, it's going to take a long time to like build them VRS points up. But then in a way, you know, look at how important EPIC.LAN is going to become. You know, across the board in Europe. You know, that like Copenhagen Games hasn't been here for years. That could be it. You know, October could be a massive event in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, you might have literally a ton of European teams here. You know, and then that way it does support, you know, UKCS to have like all these new players, and like no, EPIC.LAN's no longer this casual event where everyone just has a few drinks with a few buddies. It's like, you know, NIP might be here, Complexity's here, you know, who knows, like, you know, it's just,
you got to lock in.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And then like that might inspire, you know, younger players to be like, oh, I want to go to EPIC.LAN because I get to meet these guys. And, you know, like it's a completely different event. And like that all kind of came from VRS.
So
like,
in the way VRS has screwed UKCS, but also maybe helped UKCS.
That's a weird, you know, it could be completely different in a year sometime. You know, a year from now, it could be completely different. But it's hard to say. I think for like any new team starting, you know, it's very, very hard. I mean, where do you even begin? Do you mean you really have to have a really
EPIC.LAN, literally.
EPIC.LAN?
Yeah.
That may be it.
Yeah.
So for us, like we got a lot of our points from like EPIC.LAN, or you know, we got prize money and that counted coming into this year. So that's why we were high. So like I think we were 58th in Europe or something.
Give or
like
take, something around that.
But it does. Yeah, and we will get the invites to like CCT and stuff. But like for us, like we never had like the, you know, the correct roster to kind of push forward. You know, we were getting the invites, but essentially they didn't really mean anything because we didn't meet that mark. You know, we were getting the invites, but we were getting slapped by, well, not Aurora. We beat those guys. But you know, everyone else.
Everyone else, but probably on paper the harder team.
Yeah, we're good against those.
The Alaska style, and in 3 maps, and you lost map 1.
Yep, that's it.
That's it. Well, Tom, it's been really cool to sit down with you, because I think I spoke to you first after you qualified for the RMR. I spoke to you after you've won a couple LANs, so this is the first time where I'm very glad to sit down and like actually talk to you about your career, because if this is potentially the last time that we are in the same together, it's cool to kind of like document a royalty of UK and Ireland CS. So thank you so much for sitting down with me, and for everyone, I hope you enjoyed our UKIC coverage, because this is probably going to be the final part of it. And thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next event. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. That was really nice.
Yeah. The best thing we've ever done.
Huh?
That was sick. I did one of them in the RMR, but like it was shit.